Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Hope your week is going really well and you are attracting all the kinds of things that you are a match for. For those of you who are new to me, my name is Lisa Rose. I am a love and dating coach. I'm the founder of Deeper Love, Better Sex. And I'm here to help you line up your vibration so that your love life is something you are ecstatic about. So there was a question that came in the other day that I wanted to address because it's actually a very common one, which was about what do I do if there's a part of me that longs for and desires close relationship, and another part of me that feels scared or hesitant or trepidatious? So it's a great question. And the first thing that I would say is that you are definitely not alone in that. Lots of us feel varying degrees of that kind of conflict. And here's why. Our hearts are really tender, right? They're also incredibly resilient, but our hearts, if they've been trampled on or hurt, or there's been an experience where you really opened up and you loved, and then you had some very uncomfortable feelings, like feeling disappointed, or feeling maybe like it wasn't safe to trust, or feeling like the person that you opened your heart to wasn't able to fully appreciate and receive that. There's a whole bunch of reasons. But when we open up our tender, precious hearts and something about that doesn't go well, we want to go into a protective, like a kind of run and cover, duck and cover mode, right? And as wide open and available as our hearts can be, they can also, like those things that you poke, what are those things called that you poke them and they close them? Our hearts can do that too. They close up in protection. Right? So there's a wisdom to that, because especially when we're young, especially if the people around us aren't necessarily caring for us in ways that help us to feel safe and cared for, it's actually a good mechanism to have to be able to kind of duck and cover, to survive and to continue to feel safe, right? But ultimately, it feels a lot better to be able to have full choice so that I am free to open when I am in an environment or with somebody where my heart is going to be well cared for. Hi, Robert. And then when I need to take protective measures and either maybe not be around someone or make some choicefulness about how open I want to be, it's like there's a scale. It's like there's a valve. Here's where that gets tricky. If you're in kind of duck and cover, you're actually looking out at the world and at everybody from a place of fear. Does that make sense? So you're not really necessarily available to make the best assessment about what and who is safe versus where you're just feeling triggered from something in the past, right? So there's kind of two parts to this. The first one is that when I work with my clients, we do a lot of work around healing what is still lingering in their field and in their heart, whether that goes back from as far back as early childhood or from a past relationship that was very painful, or maybe somebody died or somebody left them, right? Our hearts are like these really massive warehouse places where things get stockpiled. And the good news, and I really want to drive this point home, is that our hearts are incredibly resilient. And every time I work with my clients and we help move that stuff through, they are amazed how they're no longer held hostage by it, how it no longer informs their sense of what's possible, that they can or can't trust. And when all of that gets reconciled, a natural byproduct of that is that it starts to feel safer to open, right? So the first part of this, if you guys want to introduce yourself, I'd love to know who's here. Facebook isn't telling me. The first part of this is just healing through releasing whatever stored feelings and whatever memories that you are still kind of being held hostage to, so that you're not fully free to make a decision based entirely from the present, but it's more informed from the past. And again, that might have to do with early life situations. It could be as recent as a recent relationship. Sometimes we get shocked in relationship. I've certainly had my share share of experiences where somebody showed up one way, for a series of weeks or months, and then something went haywire in them and they showed up in a very different way. Not really fun to be on the receiving end of that, but I can tell you that knowing everything that I know about how to kind of let the emotions move all the way through, I haven't had to stay hostage to those painful experiences and those painful feelings. So here's the other part, is that if you have a history of being with people, choosing people who weren't great communicators, who didn't know how to communicate in a responsible way, who didn't know how to kind of show up as an adult in relationship, if that's who you've been choosing, it's quite likely that you've had a series of relationships that haven't gone that well, right? So it makes sense anytime we do something that doesn't go well, we lose some confidence. And then it's hard to sort of trust your internal compass and trust your sense of confidence that it's going to go well the next time. So that's where having a reliable set of relationship tools, communication skills, knowing what your own internal drives and motivations are, knowing something about your own shadow, knowing about what kinds of things trigger you, and being able to express all of that. I know for me that my relationship life has changed dramatically as a result of having a really reliable relationship toolkit. There's a really clear kind of before and after. I used to make a lot of messes in my relationships, and now my relationships really go pretty smoothly because I'm able to know what's going on in me, be curious about them, and express it in a way that invites curiosity and interest rather than protection and defense. So I hope that this was answering your question without knowing the particulars of what it is that's going on with you. You're welcome. If I didn't quite address it, you're welcome to hit me up in the comments and I will do my best. Of course, anybody else, whether you're live or watching the replay, if this is something that is familiar to you or something that you're struggling with, here's how you would know, right? Either you just stay out of relationship, you don't go on dates, you don't even go down the journey of opening your heart. So you might be there right now. And while that's a very personal choice, I think there's something really wonderful and beautiful about having our heart open enough so that we can be available to allow someone in and to allow ourselves to be deeply and fully loved. So that's one way. Or maybe you get into relationships, but they kind of go through this like rinse and repeat cycle, which doesn't necessarily last very long. You encounter the same bumps and edges and hurdles and you can't really get through them. Maybe you start picking the other person apart, which is kind of a defense mechanism so that you don't have to be in that vulnerable place of feeling really open in your heart. Lots of different ways that our defense mechanisms and our barriers to both loving and being loved can show up. But it's important to recognize that that is a protective mechanism. And when you no longer have the need to have to protect your heart, you will naturally be drawn and gravitating to people who are available to meet you in a more intimate and more connected way. So I hope that this is making sense. If this is something that you are bumping up against and you're either are avoiding a relationship or you're feeling frustrated about relationship or you're wondering why your relationships don't last or maybe why you're not even getting asked out on dates, I would love to help you through this because I guarantee you there is an other side to this. There's a lot more freedom available where you feel safe and you feel free and you feel like you have choice about being open versus closed. So as I've mentioned before, I offer my first time intro coaching session. It's called the Love Breakthrough. And it's about a 50-minute session, and it's a great time to kind of test drive each other, but you will also come away with some very tangible takeaways. Those are powerful sessions, and things really shift for people. We don't just talk about what's going on for you, we actually work with it and we address it. So in the next 2 weeks, I have 3 of those open that I'm specifically opening up for this group. They're normally $197, but for this group, for the next 3 people, they're $79. And if you have any questions, just leave me a comment. You can reach out to me here on Facebook. You can find me on my website, deeperlovebettersex.com. But what I really what I want for you in 2017, which is where we are now, is to have a heart that feels wildly free to love as deeply and as fully as you can, because that is an awesome way to go through life, and that is also being a vibrational match to some really awesome feelings. So feel free to ask me anything in the comments if anything wasn't clear, and I wish you a wonderful day. Bye.